Hey everyone, welcome back to Yellow Jacket Garage. What we got today is, we've got a new car to the channel. This is a 1991 Mazda Miata MX5. It is a manual 5-speed car with a 4-cylinder and a convertible top. So hey, you know, top goes down, price goes up. Just kidding. Anyway, what I'm going to do today is I want to do a full inspection. This car's got 154,000 miles on it. It's a 30-year-old car. As far as the suspension and stuff goes, I know the maintenance on this car has been as needed. Oil changes and all that stuff has been done as as it should be. But I want to look a little bit into the front suspension because I'm assuming or suspecting that maybe the sway bar end links might need to be replaced. Maybe some other components, tie rod ends, things like that. And so when I'm driving it, I feel you hit a bump and it kind of really gives you a little bit of a jitter. Not an uncomfortable jitter, but a little bit more than I like. And so I want to go through and look at things, see anywhere that might be, you know, rotted rubber, worn stuff like that, components that might be loose. We'll put a little bit of a pry on some things and see if we get movement out of it, and make a list of what needs to be replaced on it. And we'll get this car back in ship-shape condition in no time. So anyway, glad to have you here. Hope you enjoyed a little bit different content, but keep in mind that suspension components, a lot of components on most vehicles are real similar in how they operate and how they're maintained, how they're replaced, things like that. So this is another good exercise in checking out different things, kind of go by feel with a car, understanding that if your car is making funny movements, funny noises, things that just don't seem right, get them checked out, especially when it comes to suspension, when it comes to brakes, when it comes to things that are really important safety-wise. And so we'll go over some of those things once we get it torn apart. And so let's dive right in. Okay, so hopefully the lighting and everything is okay to be able to see this. I'm going to move stuff around as needed so I can show you. But what I want to start with is we'll go ahead and remove the front wheel. One of the things that might happen with wheels is because the center, the rotor, the hub is steel. This is a aluminum wheel. Sometimes the dissimilar metals will kind of interact and make it difficult to get off. And so we're going to see if that's exactly what happens. No, that wasn't a problem at all. And if you own a Miata and you're going to do work like this, on this car is a 19 millimeter, so yes, metric. So off it goes. Get that wheel out of the way. Let me lay it down, not on the face of the wheel. Okay. Start looking in here. Okay, right there, I see it. Let me get the camera in here so I can show you what's going on. Okay, so what I did, I clipped the camera in here so we can see it. But right here, this is the boot from the off of the strut, and some of the strut boot is shoved up into the inside of the top of the strut. But the boot is all bad. It's all cracked around the top. And so what I was talking about, feeling some of those jitteries while I was driving it, that's what that means. It means that this strut is bad. It's junk. So it really has no shock absorbing capability left. Let me see. I'm trying to see what else I can see. Anyway, so from that right there, that needs to be replaced, which means if you're going to need to replace that one, then all the way around is going to need to be replaced. You can get away with replacing the similar pairs, like either the front or the back if you had to, but it would be best, being that these are probably original to the car. So I'm just going to go ahead and we will replace all of them. And I know it's not a whole terrible thing, but probably going to replace them with coilovers. Yeah, coilovers. I did find a set because I assumed that that's what I was going to need to do. I found a set of adjustable coilovers online, not for a real bad price, and so I think we will go ahead and order those up. At least I know that that's what the jittery was coming from. And so I can drive the car somewhat safely. I'm not going to take it on any long distance road trips, but I can drive the car and we'll get around with that. And so that's part of it. Number one on the list is replace the struts, or replace these McPherson struts with some coilovers. I'll show the whole process once the new ones come in, but that should be a fun video. We're going to learn a lot on that one. Okay, let's do this a little bit at a time. I was thinking these are this rod here that goes back and forth. That's the end link. I was thinking that it was bad, but the bushings in those actually look pretty decent. I'll probably go ahead and see if I can find them online and replace them anyway. Okay, here we are now. This is the camera's gonna make some noise, or the camera base, so I apologize for that, but this is the tie rod end, and you can see that tie rod end boot. That boot has come apart, and that tie rod end goes up into the tie rod, and it goes into the steering box right there, or yeah, steering, well, not really a steering box, it's a steering rack on this car, since it's a rack and pinion steering. And so anyway, this boot actually looks kind of old, but it looks like it's in decent shape. But the rod is fine. But we're going to come back out and look at, like I said, let me adjust the camera a little bit more so we get it right in the middle. But that boot has failed. So we're going to go ahead and replace tie rod ends. And so we'll add those to the list. I think we're going to go ahead and, that ball joint boot is fine. Well, that upper ball joint rubber piece is not looking too great. So let me show you, see if I can move the camera up there. Okay, there's where my finger is right here. This boot here is checked and cracked. And so that's the upper ball joint. And so what that means, the lower ball joint boot actually looks pretty decent, but if we're going to replace one, we'll go ahead and replace all of them. So basically that means everything in the suspension. I think the control arm bushings look fine. I don't think I'm going to replace those right now, but that is probably something that will happen in the future at some point, for sure. So, but they look decent. The lower looks decent. So that tells me that that's what we're going to do, is we're going to go ahead and replace upper and lower ball joints, tie rod ends, and the McPherson struts, because they are absolutely trash. So, all right, the Miata is going to get an upgrade. So, awesome. There we go. So there's our suspension inspection on the 1991 Mazda Miata. And for those of you, well, none of you know, because this is the first time this car has been on the channel, but the car's name is Charlotte. And the car used to belong to my mother. And so her wish was that my wife got the car when she passed away. And unfortunately, we lost her recently to cancer. So the car will be very, very well taken care of. And it will be very, very much enjoyed, and so as it should be. They're neat little sports cars, and they're intended to be driven and enjoyed, and so we definitely will do that, and we will honor her memory. I know there is some plastic skirting that's under the car that's come loose. I'm going to see if I can reattach that, figure out where that's going to go, but as far as the purposes of this video and this inspection, it has done exactly what I anticipated it doing. I still do need to inspect the passenger side of the car. However, that's already a done deal, so I know exactly what the car needs, and that's what it's going to get. Okay, so basically we did the inspection. We know what's bad, which is the struts are bad. I didn't look at the back yet. I'm going to do that, and I assume they're going to be bad. And then the ball joints are bad, and the lower ball joints are bad, and the tie rods are bad. And so I went ahead and have the parts on order. I ordered KYB struts, no coilovers this time. I ordered the ball joint kit or a tie rod kit, ball joint kit, or ball joints is all kind of in the same thing. And I ordered new tie rod boots. And so we're going to replace the boots, all the covers, all the joints, pretty much with the exception of the upper ball joint and or the upper ball joint, upper tie rod, or upper control arm. We're going to have a whole new suspension underneath the car. Oh, and that was the other thing that was in the kit too, was the tie rod, or the sway bar end link. So it's going to be all new. Should be a lot tighter. The suspension should be real happy at that point. And so we'll go from there, see how it does. There may be a bent wheel. I suspect that these new parts are going to fix that problem, and so we won't have a bent wheel. I think that all that stuff being bad, because when I was driving it, when you hit a bump and it would kind of do a shimmy, and that's because the struts are bad. So they're not strutting, they're just bouncing. There's no dampening left in them. Wish I could kind of lift them and show you, but anyway, there's no damping in the shocks, which is what they're supposed to do. They're not doing it. So if you like what you've seen so far, please consider subscribing to the channel. I need the subscriptions. I need all the help I can get. And you know, it's one of those things. If you like it and you think somebody else might like it, then share it with them. Let them know that, hey, watch this idiot. He's kind of tries to be entertaining. Anyway, with that part, or hey, you know, I've seen dogs and cats. I've seen the videos on YouTube of dogs and cats watching YouTube. So hey, get your dog and cat to subscribe to YouTube also, because I like dogs and I like cats. So maybe they'll like watching it too. At least they'll sit there with a look on their face like our dogs and cats look at me. But anyway, hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching Yellow Jacket Garage, and we'll see you on down the road.